I'm so glad to be back in the kitchen with you. I've missed you. So we're going to have an abbreviated Aunt Liz TV for the next couple of weeks because the holidays are coming up. So we're going to do a Halloween recipe, we're going to do something for Thanksgiving, and something for Christmas. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So today's recipe is actually not a brand new recipe, but we're going to try a new technique with this recipe. So our recipe actually is going to be for chocolate chip cookies, but we're going to have a fun twist on them at the end. So what you need is a bag of chocolate chips, and I'm actually using the recipe on the back of the bag. So those of you who are practicing your reading, this is a good opportunity for you to read the ingredients and then maybe measure out some of the ingredients yourself. And then some of those of you who can't quite read yet, you can help stir and you can pour in ingredients. It'll be a perfect recipe for everybody. So let's go over our ingredients list. So the first thing we need is flour. We need baking soda. Now the recipe on the bag calls for salt, but I use salted butter, so I don't add extra salt. But if you use unsalted butter, you'll need some salt and then your butter. We have some white sugar. And we also have some brown sugar. We have vanilla. We have 2 eggs. And we have our chocolate chips. Now this is 1 whole bag's worth, which is 2 cups or 12 ounces. So you use the entire bag. So I'm going to use my plug-in mixer, and if you have one, you can ask your mom or dad if you can go ahead and plug that in. So I'm going to plug mine in here. And the first thing we're going to do is pour in our melted butter. Now I melted this for about 30 seconds in the microwave. And it's nice and soft and melty. And then let's look at our ingredients. So the next thing we're going to do is mix together our butter, sugar, brown sugar, and vanilla. So that means we need 3/4 cup of sugar. And I have my 3/4 cup measure right here. I'm going to make that nice and level. Dump that in there. Put the lid back on so we don't get any brown sugar in with our white sugar. And then we're going to take our brown sugar. And sometimes brown sugar gets a little bit hard, so you might need to mix it up just a bit. Actually, the technique is called packed brown sugar. Well, mine's really hard. Sometimes this happens when you get moisture. Let me get a harder spoon. And we will get our brown sugar unpacked so we can repack it again. That seems kind of backwards, doesn't it? Let's see. Here we go. Alright, so now we're going to get 3/4 cup of brown sugar, just like we had with the white sugar. I'm going to just, I don't know if you can see this or not. Try not to make a mess here. Then you want to just take your hand and just kind of pack that in right into the cup and then plunk. There we go. And let's see, what else did it say we mix here? Help me look at the recipe. Oh, we need our vanilla. So we need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now, as you'll probably remember from previous recipes, a little bit of vanilla goes a long way. So you want to always stick to the measurements and add exactly the amount they say. So here we go with 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And in we go. Oh, I should mention too that our oven is preheating to 350 degrees. Now as you remember, mine says 325. That's because I have what's called a convection oven. So if your mom has a convection oven, yours might say 325 as well. So we're going to go ahead and put the top of our mixer down, and we'll lock it into place and just start mixing. Now, while that's mixing, we're going to take this other bowl, and we're done with our sugars, and our vanilla. So now we're going to move on to our dry ingredients. So we're going to take our flour, and let's see, the recipe says 2 1/4 cups. So we need 2 1/4 cups. So if you get your measuring cups out, we'll start with our 1/4. So we know we get that out of the way. So you take your 1/4 measuring cup, just kind of tap it so it's flat and put it in a separate bowl. And now we're going to take our 1 cup measurer and fill that up. There's 1 cup. And what comes after 1? Somebody tell me.
7.
2. Our 2-cup measurer. So we're all done there. Okay. So let's see if there's another step we need to do here. So, we're supposed to beat in our eggs. So we're going to turn this off and we're going to put in our eggs. So I already have 2 eggs here in this bowl. Now some of you I know are really, really good at cracking eggs. So this is the part you're going to do really well at. You can be the official egg cracker. So right in there to the mixture. Put it back down and we'll mix it up just a little bit more. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and add something to our flour. So what's one ingredient we haven't added yet?
Potatoes.
Not potatoes, baking soda. So we need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So let's see, let me wipe out. We already used our teaspoon for the vanilla, but let me wipe that out so we can use it for our baking soda. Now it's really important that we turn this off, that's mixed up. It's really important that you mix your dry and wet ingredients. These are our wet ingredients, these are our dry ingredients. That you mix them separately when you're baking because you want to be sure that your dry ingredients are nice and mixed together before you add them to the wet ingredients. So here is our baking soda, our 1 teaspoon. There we go. Now we're going to just mix these together lightly. Now you remember the trick with flour is you can't mix too fast, otherwise it'll go all over. So I have this cool little measuring or little mixing tool. You can use a spoon as well if you don't have one of those, but you need to be very careful. So see how I'm very carefully and slowly mixing together my flour and my baking soda. If I did it really, really fast, I'd be creating a big mess, and then Taste Tester would have a big mess to clean up, wouldn't he? And I don't think he would like that very much. That would be a mean Halloween trick, to make a big mess and leave it for someone else to clean up. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So let's look back at our recipe and see what we do next. So we have our wet ingredients are mixed. We have our dry ingredients are mixed. So now this says gradually beat in the flour mixture. Do you know what gradually means? Gradually means slowly and little by little. So we're going to start our mixer and just little by little add our flour. Just a little bit at a time. There we go. And you can see it's all mixing together nicely, just as it should. And we're going to mix that up just until it looks like the flour is all mixed together. We're getting close. Alright, so now that our wet and dry ingredients are mixed together, we're going to go ahead and add our chocolate chips. So remember, it's 2 cups or 1 whole bag, and we just again gradually add those to our mixture. Now if you're making this recipe in a mixing bowl instead of using an electric mixer like I am, you might want to add part of them and do a couple of stirs and then add some more. So we'll mix that for just a little bit. You don't want to overmix it because then your chocolate chips will get all mushed up. Okay, that looks good. So, now we're going to raise our mixer. And you might remember this handy dandy cookie scoop. I love this scoop. I in fact use it for things other than cookie batter. It works great for chicken salad or all sorts of things. Anything you need a medium-sized scoop, this is a great tool. So, I'm going to take our batter or our beater off. And now it's time, this is the time that some of you who don't know how to read can do this part, because this is great. Or if you don't have one of these tools, you can use 2 spoons. That works well too. So you want to just take a little bit in your scooper and plop it right onto your baking tray. Now I didn't grease this or anything. because we've got butter in our recipe. You don't have to grease it. That helps the cookies not stick. So what you're going to want to do is we're going to bake these for about 8 minutes. Now what I want you to do, and what I'm going to do while they're baking is, first of all, I'm going to clean up the mess that I have here. And then I'm going to get some toothpicks out because we need toothpicks for the next part of our recipe, the new technique that we're going to learn. Now the nice thing about this recipe is that even though it's kind of a recipe that a lot of people have, it's a really good one, and it's a really easy one. When you just want a delicious dessert, just grab your bag of chocolate chips and whip this recipe up. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'm going to set my timer for 8 minutes. Now what I'm going to do, you might remember from before, let's get the timer going before I forget. 8 minutes. I'm going to take my bowl of batter and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, because what happens sometimes is when you are making cookies, your batter gets too runny. So if you put it in the refrigerator while your batch is baking, then by the time those are done and you're ready to do a new tray, your batter is still in good shape to go on the tray. So I'm going to clean up this mess, get my toothpicks out. They're in here. And we'll be back in 7 minutes and 29 seconds. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes and 45 seconds left on our second batch. You'll see I already have one batch out. We're going to practice on these. So we have one other step. So we got our toothpick out. We're going to use that in just a minute. But first what you need to do is take a little container. I'm just using this little glass, and you're going to put some chocolate chips inside because we're going to melt these. Just like that. So that's about a 1/4 cup. That's probably more than we need, but we can always melt these down and reuse them later. So now remember, when we microwave something, when we melt something, we always want to put a paper towel over the opening so that we don't have a big splattery mess. So I'm going to put these in the microwave, and I'm putting my paper towel right on top. Now this is a good job for those of you who know how to use the microwave and can reach it to do this part. I'm going to set the timer for 30 seconds, and we're going to have our chips are going to be melted very shortly. In the meantime, these cookies look and smell so delicious. They're so tempting, but I'll wait until it's time to taste test. I might just have to taste test with taste tester this time. We'll have to see. Okay, so our chocolate chips are nice and melted. Look how creamy, and oh my goodness, looks so delicious. Alright, so you stir it all up so it's nice and smooth and creamy. This is where your toothpick comes into play. Now the cool part about the thing about this recipe is that this is the part that everybody in your family can do. So this could be a whole Halloween fun project. So you're going to choose a cookie. So let's see, let's choose this cookie right here. So these are cooled, they're on my cooling rack, they've been sitting there for a few minutes. So what you're going to do now is take just the plain old cookie, take your toothpick, dip it into your chocolate, just the tip of it, so when it comes out it's like that. And now you're going to paint your cookie. We're going to paint spiders onto our cookie. So spiders have 8 legs, so we're going to make 4, push that part down a little bit, 4 legs on each side. And you might need to re-dip your toothpick. Whoops. Here's our 4th leg. Now we'll go to the other side and make 4 more legs. This is going to be a big spider cookie. And we can make another spider too. I'll show you how. Now sometimes when your cookies come out you won't have very many chocolate chips showing. Kind of like this one is showing quite a bit, but let's try this one over here that doesn't have very many chocolate chips. So we're going to start with just the bump, and we're going to go ahead and do our 4 legs. So we'll do, oh, another batch of cookies is done. That's kind of a fat leg there. Well, let's just make this the body. I had too much chocolate. We'll make that the body, and then we'll take our legs off the side. That is a good plan. 1 leg, 2 legs, 3 legs, and we'll put a leg down here. I think we need to get a little more chocolate for the other side. Ah. And now we'll do 1 leg, 2 legs, 3 legs. This kind of looks like a squished spider. But you get the idea. So here's a sample that I made earlier. Those look like spiders, don't they? Now, come up with a really cool name for these cookies because they could either be spooky cookies or tricky treats or what else? Something with arachnid. Or spiders, arachnids. Some of you who are creative, work on that. A clever name with the word arachnid in the title. So I'm going to get some milk for a taste tester and serve him these cookies and see what he thinks of our, whatever we're going to call them, our Halloween spider chocolate chip cookies.
She's a magician in the kitchen.
Aunt Liz TV.
Watched on Mondays and Thursdays.
Aunt Liz TV.
Cooking yummy foods and tasty treats.
Aunt Liz TV.
Give up orders and taste the fun sleep. Aunt Liz TV. It's time to eat.
Aunt Liz TV.
Aunt Liz TV.